Get my orchid in.
All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. We are here for another conversation about X-Men with the phenomenal Rachael O'Brien, who is an X-Men advanced facilitator and is also going to be facilitating the upcoming X-Men class with Gary Douglas, Allison Cox, and Arthur Wood. In just a few weeks, and we've been having these conversations. I've been interviewing people. There's a whole new universe available with the X-Men Access X-Men classes and conversations now, and really having so much fun chatting with different people about what is an X-Men, because for everybody it's different, and that's exactly the point. X-Men are unique, different, highly capable creatures that have oftentimes made themselves very wrong and been made wrong, and to explore really the difference that we each be and the beauty of that is such a gift. So welcome, Rachael.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say that I'm so grateful because you're one of the people that like keeps throwing the flames out into the universe.
I'm an X-Men flamethrower.
Yeah, you're a flame. You're a flame. You're a flame of consciousness for the X-Men specialty classes, and which is very dear to, when we talk about like what lights your heart up, every time that I facilitate an X-Men intro, an X-Men 1-day class, an X-Men 2-day class, I'm going to say like humbled. I have this like gratitude that the people that, and including me in this, they think they're the most wrong, fucked up individual on the planet. And they're actually such future thinkers, and they have such phenomenal abilities with energy, and they really are lacking some massive education and information in regard to what they require to build and experience what their reality is.
Yes, that is so well said. I love that. When you said future, like that is one of the beautiful capacities of X-Men, and really something that we do not get like educated about or invited to. So many X-Men have such a dynamic awareness of the future, and it's like we can perceive things that will happen, are going to be happening, whatever, in a linear frame of time. But X-Men don't do time. They have an awareness that goes beyond time. And I've caught myself so many times kind of stuck by something. And then I just go like, is this an awareness of the future? And if I get a yes, it's like, oh, I can relax because I know I have the capacity to perceive the future. And then it's like, cool, I'm aware of something that isn't yet, in this reality's timeline hasn't shown up yet. But X-Men don't have this reality timeline. We just sort of kind of try to figure out how to do that, even though it doesn't make sense.
And thanks so much for what you said. One of the things that I noticed with me, the only time that I get like super stuck is if there's a lie attached to information that someone gave me. And what occurs is, you see, this is the part that was like, I was so lost before the X-Men information, and I guess you were the first X-Men that came, of course, Gary and you came into my life about the same time, and Dane. And so before that, honestly, I had no idea. Like I was searching for who I am through somebody else's definition of what was it to have a body on this planet,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that search was not going well.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking around, the obvious, like what everybody thinks is real, you're not going to find a whole lot, because it's like, being this like mythical, magical creature living in, Muggleville, and
Yeah,
being like, okay, I guess I'm the fucked up one. Except
yeah.
no, not at all.
And so when I came and I did my first X-Men class, for me, the big one for me, I know each of us have our big cornerstones, but one of the cornerstones of my reality is I have a perception capacity that, number one, I didn't trust, because I was like, there's no way I can be that aware. Like,
Mm,
really? Like is like, you know? And so for me, the place that I was most stuck in is I was what I was perceiving, I was believing was in relation to me.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you watching, and you might say, what are you talking about in perception? We actually download someone's universe when we interface with them, or when we even step next to them. We download their whole universe, and no one has ever educated Heather Nichols or Rachel O'Brien prior to Access Consciousness in you actually have an ability to download this whole person's universe,
Yeah.
and nobody has, I'm going to say, acknowledged it, even as like, you can't do that, you can't be aware of that. Actually, it's not you can't do that, you can't be aware of it. It's actually, I am doing this. I am aware, and so we'll pick up awareness of energies and awareness of when someone is destroying their future with a choice. And so for me, I spent my whole life trying to, I'm going to say, like, save other people from the destruction that I was aware of. We call it the big,
Mm,
you know, and that was a very destructive force in my life until I got educated. And there's a few people that have been extremely supportive in that. Until I got educated, actually, I'm a creative force. And if I'm not utilizing my energy, because everything is energy for X-Men, forget about explanations. Energy is our first language. And if I'm not utilizing my energy in regard to generating more space, whether that's with money, with business, with bodies, with whatever I'm interacting with, if I'm not bringing that space and those energies of peace, relaxation, you know, then if I'm feeding anything that's a lie, my living doesn't work for me.
boom. If I'm feeding anything that's a lie, my living doesn't work for me. That is brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. And we do, and we don't know that we do. And it doesn't work. And we don't know that it doesn't work. And we keep trying to make it work. Because if you think that this reality is the only thing that you have, then it's like, okay, well, I'll keep trying, and I'll keep trying to fix myself, so that I can function in this world that is totally based on lies,
Yeah.
And like we've had this conversation in Access Consciousness around cognitive dissonance, and that was a huge kind of moment, I would say, for the X-Men of the world, to be like, oh, cognitive dissonance, like when you're aware of a lie, but it's not being addressed, it's not being acknowledged, it's not being spoken to. And there's this energetic, like, complete disconnect where you're like, what is going on here? And the habit of X-Men, what we're educated into, is to always look at the wrongness of us.
Yeah.
So if something doesn't match, an X-Men, unless they have different tools, will always go to, I'm the one that's fucked up here.
Yeah. 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 And one of the things for me is people have always projected that I'm the insane one for seeing the insanity. So there's, and this is one
Yeah.
of the projections that this is one of the big projections that's been projected at me my whole life until I got around people who actually had tools that were effective and allowed me to live and enjoy being alive. Is I would see something and I'd be like, huh? And then the person would make me wrong. And so when you function from that level of awareness because you don't belong and you don't fit, you seem to think that like you're the one that's insane, but actually you're not.
Yeah.
You-
Yeah.
You're just, you're just very, very, very different, like, you know?
Yeah. And projections, I mean, that's a huge conversation in and of itself, like what we do with projections, because we just make, like, if somebody's projecting something at you, it's like Rachel, you were saying where you download somebody's universe, and we can try it on and put it on and be like, yeah, sure, I could be this, and we don't even know we're doing it. And it's like all of a sudden I've seen this so many times with myself where I'm like, oh, I was being something that wasn't me, that was weird, wonky. I didn't really know what it was. I had something that was like sticking me, and then I find out, oh, somebody's been projecting this at me, that this would be my response or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's a capacity to just take the projection and just become it. Believe that you are it and become it. And it's not it. People probably like, what? How is that a capacity? Right? It's a capacity with energy and being and oneness, and like to function from oneness and to perceive things and be aware of energies and be able to be so many different energies. It's just when we use it against ourselves like that, where we're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just going to become this, and we don't even know we're doing it. It's like
Yeah.
that really sticks us.
And it's so phenomenal when you look at it from a perspective that someone would project at you that they want you to connect in a certain way. And then when you're not even in question, which is X-Men reality, then you become beholden. You're held by the person's point of views in the way that they want you to react so that you don't disrupt the status quo. And X-Men came here to disrupt. Like we're
Totally.
we didn't come here to, I'm going to say like fit in or, keep what's not working in place. There's so much hidden in our world, and there's so much that people avoid for whatever, mass denial program that's running on our world. And it's actually extremely severe on our bodies, our nervous systems, and our functionality. We function from space, and I don't know what it's like for you. Even when I look back at what I had created myself as, I had hidden so much of me. I had hidden so much of me
Yeah.
so that I could like belong or fit in or be liked or like whatever you required. And what I had hidden was the magic, the awareness, the joy. And to be honest, Heather, I'm still knowing every day that I'm alive. I'm still starting to know what is my reality,
Yeah, well, may that continue forever, It's
Yeah.
like, and that's, you mentioned this, it's like the X-Men universe and the X-Men reality is functioning as the question,
Mm.
being the question that nobody else is willing to be. And that's part of what makes it challenging to live in this world, because nobody else is asking any questions. It's all conclusions. And you're like, oh, I'm so curious, and like, and just being, being the constant question that brings constant awareness. But we shut that off, because we think, oh my gosh, this is not something that's going to make my life greater, because nobody else is looking at this, so I'm fucked up, so I need to stop that.
Yeah.
But when we learn to just turn everything on its head, which to me is a huge part of what the X-Men classes do, is just turn it all on its head so you can see everything that you thought was fucked up about you as the greatness of you, and then start to be the question of how can I use this all to create, a greater
I love
future.
that. I love that you said this. One of the things that I've been looking at is most people are functioning from limitation and limited, just limitation. Can you imagine if we lived in a world where people were functioning from their greatness instead
Mm,
of what you have to perform as or what you have to be seen as from a separated point of view, you know?
yeah,
And one of the things that I've really struggled with is when people don't get on board with what's going to create greater. You know what I mean? Even when I'm trying to hang on to something that's not creating greater. And
yeah,
so X-Men are always willing to get on board and contribute and care for people in a way that actually truly works when they're being them.
yeah,
And we have a capacity to receive information that mostly has been entrained out of us, you know.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I know me and you have hung out, and I'm by the sea today. I was just swimming, and I'll sit and I look at the sea and I look at the sky, and some people might not have the awareness of that I'm not checked out at all. I'm actually like extremely present, talking to everything. And I might be looking at like, okay, so how is this project going to work? What energy has to be added here? Like how the sky moves the sea, how everything in nature knows its job, you know, what can I contribute here? And who and what can I contribute? And so that's actually our functionality.
yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, it's like the silence is such a it's not silent for X-Men. It's like where the whole universe becomes available, and so many people are uncomfortable with that space, and like you said, they would think you were checking out or whatever, but it's like you're just exploring the entirety of the universe, whatever's available to you and what you're aware of in that moment. And that's where it all that's where all of our capacities can be discovered and found and harnessed, and then we can, create in this reality in all the ways that, like the kind of the areas of life that people are asking for greater. It's like all of that becomes available to you through that space. It's just a different way of being with it all.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say if you're watching this live, I know that I would say both of us have been challenged with knowing like how different we are.
Yeah.
Gary always says, "Do you know how different you are?"
Yeah.
And for me, sometimes I'll think that everyone else looks at things the way that I look at them, and they
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
They they don't recognize their impact, their choices, and their impact on others, which for me is like you don't recognize that you impacted this person like with this behavior or with this choice, you know? And
Yeah.
so and so one of the things that I would love is a world where we recognize the impact of our choices and the way they influence the way our reality shows up, you know?
Yes.
Mm.
Wow. So many conversations to be had. So, this is just so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'm so looking forward to this, like all of the new spaces and possibilities and conversations and explorations that are now really available with the X-Men universe, the Access Consciousness X-Men, specialty. And you, Gary Douglas, Allison Cox, and Arthur Wood are going to be co-facilitating. Is it February 7th, the first day of that class? Yeah.
7, 8, and 9. Yeah.
So it's going to be in Texas. It's also going to be online. So people can join from anywhere in the world. And it's like a big global X-Men party. Let's go. I'm so excited.
Exactly. And you know, if you're watching this and you're not sure whether you're an X-Men or not, what support can you be for the people that you love, the children that you love, the people in your life who you know function different? And what contribution can you be to them to go beyond judgment and actually get interested in their functionality?
Yeah. And I would say, you know, if you are still watching this, there may be
Yeah.
something there for you. Like, you probably would have turned it off a while ago if there wasn't some. I feel like the X-Men conversations are, you know, it's like, what is an X-Men? Who knows? You know, in a way, it's like I asked Gary that one time, and he said, like, I was asking him that like in a class, and he was like, you know, pointed to the whole class. It's like, you know, it's not a defined thing. And I think so many of us, like, I came to it with the idea that it was more of a defined thing. And I was like, well, I'm not that. I'm not a kid who's been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, OCD, or autism, you know? And then I was like, oh, you know, Gary asked me one question, and I was like, oh, okay, I got to start looking at this, you know? And then there's just so much there. So it's like, who cares if you're an X-Men or not? It's like, will this, you know, I mean, what is that anyway? You know, it's an exploration of difference. And we require so much more of that in the world.
Totally.
So,
And
yeah.
and you said it like when there is no definition, that's where we magically contribute and life gets sweeter, you know?
Yes, totally. Totally. On that note, we're gonna say thank you, and thanks everybody so much for being here now and in the future. And thanks, Rachel, and see you online.
Grateful for you. Thanks so much, love.
Yeah, me too. Bye.